Well, thank you for that wonderful applause.
Applause. Ah.
Oh, can you hear it? I'm clapping myself. Yes, right. Because it may be VR, it may be MR, it may be AR, it may be XR, but definitely we are. Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest edition of Metaworld News. This is a show where we bring you news headlines for the week gone by in what we call the metaverse. Um, Contentious name these days, really. Apparently, comic conventions are the new metaverse.
Oh,
Dear me,
still?
dear me.
Still?
Well, they're still replaying them and calling them metaverse sessions.
Okay, all right.
But there are a few other culprits for that too, which are more obscure. Um, Anyhow, yes, our main focus is the world of social virtual worlds, immersive spaces, be they on the web, be they in standalone clients, or be they in both. Some of them are in both indeed.
Hmm.
And we're broadcasting from our studios here in a platform called Sansar, which is an independent, relatively new platform. It was actually launched originally by Linden Lab, who are owners of that grand old Second Life platform. And this was their new fangled thing, but they've sold it off, so it's now independently run and concentrates on live events. And I guess this show's a live event, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes,
As live
yes,
as it
we're a
can
live
be,
event.
right?
Yeah, we're as live as we can be. Whether we qualify as an actual event of any note, I don't know, but we're doing it. And you can watch it in replay
Yeah.
because hardly anybody looks at us live. But you never know. You never know. We may get a different day kind of thing. Right. So my name is Mal Burns. MAL first word and BURNS second word. But if you squash those together, get Mal Burns, MALBURNS, and you're gonna have to do that if you want to find my Twitter screen. Stream, not
Stream.
screen. Well, it says stream on the screen,
Yes,
depending on how
it
you
does.
watch it. Yes, it's both. And you go to twitter.com/Mal Burns, MALBURNS, or one word, and you will find my stream. And all the links that I'm going to be talking about for you are ones that I will have posted, amongst others, onto that stream during the course of the week. There are some exceptions, but I'll point those out as we get to them. And there's a second feed there, which includes for some of the things, which is twitter.com/Metaworld News, which obviously is the title of this show. Um, but it's sparsely populated, but it includes stuff that's more specific to social worlds, whereas the mainstream includes information about haptical things and technological developments that relate to our interfacing with 3D spaces. Okay, I think I've summed that up very cleverly and carefully. So now it's time to introduce you to my companion who's sitting here beside me, and this is James Atloud. Welcome, James.
Oh, thank you, Mal. I'm happy to be here.
And you're making us all very happy with that psychedelic T-shirt.
Oh, indeed.
I
Indeed.
think it's the best one yet. You've been doing a new one every week for us, which is you're our regular fashionista, except you're not an
Fashionista,
Easter.
right.
Well, you're a fashion. What's the male of Easter?
I
I don't
don't
know.
know. Maven? I have no idea.
Yeah, yeah, fashion person. That would do.
Yep. Well, this one's fun, and
Stylist.
and since you pointed it out, I'll share the store that I got this. This came from. I'm going to put the link up on screen here. I'm going to pronounce this Neo Zero. So NIO zero apostrophe S Neo Zero store, and so it's a very lovely shirt.
I
Very
think that's
exciting.
one I might. I think I might even get one of those for myself. I'm quite impressed with that one. Now, it's only when and where I wear it, For somebody who never does laundry or can be bothered to get changed.
Yeah. Oh,
But you never
okay.
know.
Right.
I mean, it'd make a great movie texture to go on my hat, if nothing else. But I
Yeah.
don't know how to. But I don't know how you do such things here. And in fact, I don't think you can. I think it's all down to the creator of the original thing to
I think
set
you're right.
that sort of stuff up.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so there we are. Twitter.com/Malbones and Twitter.com/MetaWorld News. There we go. For the links I'm about to feature. Now, we're getting a bit strange at the moment. If James, as well as sitting here and commenting now and again, is also playing with knobs and video feeds and stuff. And one of the things he's able to do is actually bring to you my desktop as I'm reading stuff out to you. At the moment, it's showing a nice little thing of some galaxies being born, I believe, is the idea of
Very
this little
nice.
animation, but it makes a pretty little background while we get ready to go elsewhere. So I'm now going to, while I've got the picture screen up, as it were, I'm just going to click through before we start with the actual news items to the various pictures. Um, oh, that's just a nice graphic. Where are we? Here we are.
It is nice.
Um, in Second Life, this happens every year. There's Virtual World's best practices in education, and the theme, oddly enough, as far as I know, this year is called Stellar. Or if I got something a bit confused, but um, anyway, this poster just seems to change the theme to reconnaissance.
Oh,
Anyway, it's the first poster for the event, which March 18th to 20th, as you can see there, of the year 2021. This is an educational focused event, which was best practice in education, but it includes a lot of general interest too, because well, in fact, there's no real age or demographic limit on being educated per se.
right.
So I think we're okay there. Um, yeah, it's a bit dark, but on the right-hand side, you can see these geometric kind of things that, well, I don't know, just sort of science fiction. But it's very tasteful, that one. I don't know, I think the typography up top is a bit garish for my liking, but, I don't know. But anyway, it's interesting. It's the first poster for next year, as I say, March's thing, so it's, what, 5 months away yet.
Yeah.
Always been virtual anyway. And we film a bit of it, and sometimes, I mean, last year I presented two interviews there as well. Um, yeah, so 5 months to go. I mean, there's various things I've retweeted already about calls for proposals and stuff like that. What is odd is that I've got this display poster for something that doesn't actually happen to mid-March. Yet barely a month away, we have the OpenSim Community Conference, and I haven't seen any sign of a poster for it yet. So they're leaving a bit tight on getting some adverts out. I'm mentioning that as we go along. We have published a few links to that various points in time. Okay, so before I move into other stuff, um, this one really is for those of you in the UK. We have now gone into lockdown, a bigger lockdown again, but meanwhile, well, it's a bit sad, but that was Boris on his doorstep for Halloween. You can see the kids here trick or treating. He thought our policy for not giving free food to kids was made clear.
Not okay. I
And
see. Yep.
oh dear, sad, sad, sad.
Yep.
And oh, well, this belongs with something relevant, but I can't remember. Oh yes, so, yeah. Well, we got an article coming up a bit later on virtual travel. The lockdown thing is traveling virtually, whatever. And that was one. Oh yes, and this one is pertinent. Um, you'll know already why this one attracts me. I forget who actually posted it, but it's a screen clip from somebody's tweet. Okay, well, no sniggers in the studio here. No
Okay.
sniggers in the studio here, but never mind. Yeah, so I clipped that little piece because I think it's yeah, I think it's kind of relevant.
I'll have
And
to start a counter of when the first Facebook mention is in the show.
yeah,
That was 9
well,
minutes and 30 seconds. So.
right, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, well, I'm now on the basic bookmarks I've got loaded for the from the twitter.com Mal Burns feed, and we're starting as always at the beginning of the week. This was actually, I think, the fourth item on my list, but I've shoveled that to the beginning because we always sort of it's become my starter marker for the week, even though the three following ones came up a few hours earlier. Scarredghost.com, SKAREDGHOST.com, and it's a regular Monday morning XR Week Peak. for 26th of October. As you can see, Deca Gear is an intriguing VR headset. HTC is working on a new device and more. And that's an understatement in the case of this blog. And more at Scar Ghost means 50 pages instead of 5 to read. No, not quite. But he basically announces all the major stuff. Now, you got to remember that this is the week before our last show. So a lot of what he's commenting on here, we've already mentioned. But I'm less focused on gaming and some of that kind of. A new headset, yes, but gaming and stuff like that is very much his thing as well as general VR. So got quite a lot of information there. He's got a FCC listing for new HTC Vive headset. Um, China is showing a strategic interest in VR. Um, Hawaii, not I never can never pronounce Hawaii. I just think of it as Hawaii, but Chinese. And it's the one that Mr. Bush, not Bush, the Trump. He doesn't kind of like them very much anymore, and he likes TikToks and stuff.
Hmm.
Anyway, they've upgraded. Huawei has upgraded its Sneak VR glasses, and they now support 6DoF, 6 degrees of freedom movement, and 6DoF controllers that are very similar to ones found in the Oculus Touch. And no need to talk about the Oculus because you've no doubt heard of that. And if you haven't, be very thankful indeed. All right. The anger about Facebook login policy is not stopping because if you want to use the aforementioned Oculus headset, or at least a Quest 2 version, you have to get a Facebook account, and that's not just the user account for the Oculus thing. It's for the whole Facebook data mining, surveillance state technology enclave. Dangerous place to be, really. But if you want to use an Oculus headset, you have no choice but to join up and have uh, live on a diet of Zuckerbergers, basically. So let's move on now, I think, as we always do when things get delicate. Where are we? Yeah, as you, well, look, there's lots of links here, as you can see. The new HGC is Vive recorded. Tips and tricks for something called Quest 2, whatever that be. Um, Microsoft has showcased a new haptic device, and Stanford and Samsung have got together to create a new super high resolution display, a new kind of OLED crystals featuring 10,000 pixels per inch. Whatever happened to 72
Wow.
TPI?
Hmm.
Oh God, can you imagine? God knows what the download size of a TV program made for that would be. But anyway, this is an astonishing pixel density, and if such a display were used in VR, it could lead to the disappearance of the screen door effect while keeping the bright colours typical of OLED screens.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yep.
Oh, now James, it's Fortnite. That's the platform I was thinking of
Oh,
earlier.
okay. All right.
Since I better mention it now, I pointed it out to James. I haven't got a link for this because it's too. I don't avoid religion and politics as a rule, but the Biden campaign in America, for presidential campaign in America, does actually have a campaign headquarters in a major 3D platform called Fortnite. Um, and well, that's it. There was a picture of it somewhere, but it's not on my feed. So um, there's apparently somebody called J Balvin will be performing for Halloween, but Halloween is over now. Thank goodness it is the first. I don't think I said the date
I
when we
don't
opened
think you
up.
did either.
These are news headlines for the week ending the 1st of November 2020, folks. If I forgot to mention that earlier, well, you know now.
There it is.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Good job. It is good thinking. Something came up to remind me there. Yeah. So yes, after watching depressing news on news channels last night, and it's toss up between that and getting scared shitless by these stupid Halloween things, which were happening on every single virtual world platform I could find. I just wanted to go and chill out somewhere. No such luck, unless you call ghouls and screams and dark things and
Hmm.
graveyards opening. That's not chill out. That's the stuff of nightmares. That is. Um, anyway, Marina Abramoff, first MRR piece has been sold for a lot of money, $280,500 at Christie's. A mixed reality art piece created inside Magically One. Oh no, it's a performance. How would they auction that? I wonder. Maybe there's a one-off video or something that's been auctioned. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah. Skull Ghost, of course, has a lot of stuff you might be interested in. So you can get it all at scarredghost.com, and I'll do that again. It's Scarred Ghost is a K, so it's SKARREDGHOST.com, and yeah, the XR Wheat Peak. So we can now move on and yeah, move beginning of the week again, moving forward a little bit here. Right. This is a site called theconversation.com. That's TheConversation.com. And how we discovered that VR can profile your personality. Intriguing stuff here. It has the power to take us outside of our surroundings, transport us to far off lands, etc. From a quick round of golf to fighting monsters or going for a skydive, all this can be achieved from the comfort of your home. It's not just gamers who love this. It's used a lot in psychology research to investigate areas such as social anxiety, moral decision making, and emotional responses. In their new research, they used VR to explore how people would respond emotionally to a potential threat. I'm not going to read the whole thing out. If you're interested in this kind of thing, this the conversation com is the place to go. They mention, for example, a virtual fall, and they have a video here which is walking on ice. It's a short one, but give you an idea. Well, for those of you who think this looks nice and chilled, all I can say is in about a week's time, when the real snow falls, we might have a different opinion. Uh, you've seen them all. We've seen a bit. You've seen it all. Is what I say there. The idea of what you're doing there. There's somebody actually in one of the headsets and things actually doing this sort of stuff. Um, and There's a findings show how VR could have personality profiled in virtual world. This approach, where private traits are predicted based on implicit monitoring of digital behavior, was demonstrated with a data set derived from Facebook likes back in 2013. This is what paved the way for the controversial commercial application and the Cambridge Analytica scandal, when psychological profiles of users were allegedly harvested and sold to political campaigns. And I was watching Channel 4 News in the UK here during the week, and it appears that whilst the people originally responsible for the Cambridge Analytical thing were sacked, and I'm not quite sure what Cambridge Analytica, the company's status is at the moment, apparently some of the people concerned with all that are still at it, trying to help Mr. Trump get his place back in the White House. So, um, not good news there at all, really. Anyway, as I say, that's profiling a personality. Stephen Fairclough reporting at the conversation, or one word there, .com. And yes, I mentioned this near the beginning. Oh, go, stop doing that. Right. The future of travel lies in virtual space. And literally, this is posted at, oh, God. I've got my glasses. Right, it's TT. That's two T's for some weird reason. TTGASIA.com. So I think that's TTG Asia. Um, I suspect. I'm not sure what the TTG is. Anyway, the report isn't Asia, it's Finland. So go figure. Right. Yeah. Again, they are looking at the future of social media and travel, and how this experience travel can be in a virtual space where you can meet regardless of where you are in real life. So they are approaching it from a social VR point of view. And one example they got from Finland, of course, is virtual Helsinki, um, where Helsinki worked with VR Studio Zone to create virtual Helsinki. It's a digital twin of the physical capital, and apparently it really is. I mean, I know in Second Life and even in OpenSim in a few places, for example, there've been instances of putting London, for example, into the virtual world, but it's always scaled down to fit on so many simulators, and it's not to scale because you leave out the boring bits. In other words, a walk from Kensington High Street to Piccadilly Circus takes all of about 2 seconds, whereas in real life it's a good few miles. you know, um, but it would be boring to show all that stuff. So they kind of clump geographic landmarks in the right sort of spatial order, but far closer than they really are. Um, but apparently, this virtual Helsinki, and I haven't been able to get in there to see it. It was built in the Unreal Engine, and apparently, it's like a true to life build of the entire city. Um, it's a digital twin. It was built using 3D modeling alongside virtual concert broadcasting throughout Finland, which saw 700,000 attendees and 10 million avatar interactions. 10 million avatars. Okay, that's not bad. Finland's quite a small country too. We are now working with Helsinki on a metaverse 3D space that lets people explore Helsinki in different ways. Um, right, they don't. When they say metaverse, they don't say it's going to be linked to a platform or whether it's standalone. But anyway, interesting stuff to read there. So as I said, it's TTGASIA.com, which I guess is TTG Asia. Right, moving on. Well, this will be no surprise. The gaming site Kotaku, Kotaku.com. Posting an announcement during the week as if there was anything new about it. Facebook continues its bullshit with Oculus accounts. So, yeah, this is quite a big gaming site.
Not
So,
mincing words there.
not mincing words, no. I
Right.
don't think anybody is when it comes to this at the moment.
No.
But, well, let's see. Um, Deleting your Facebook account will delete all your Oculus information, including app purchases and achievements. You won't be able to return any apps, and they'll steal the money you spent on them, basically. Um, what the fuck should a Facebook account standing have to do with anyone's use of a virtual reality headset in video games? Why should video games I buy be tied to a social media account to the point where deleting the former also removes the latter? We know the answer. The only reason Facebook bought Oculus in the first place was to tie it in with the platform's obsession with data and advertising. But it still boggles the mind how these enormous companies used to throwing their weight around in tech spaces keep getting video games so wrong. Anyway, so read more about that. It's a gaming site really, but they have this particular article, kotaku.com. Moving on again. I don't need that coming up every time I click. Right. Lenovo are a company, and they're actually they're not selling Varjo. They don't even own it. What that means is that they, as a company, are going to be marketing and selling the enterprise VR headsets made by Varjo. We have reviewed and mentioned those in the past. They are they're acclaimed headsets, but they are very much high end what they call enterprise class. The price is not that um, great for so for a home user who's got enough money. In other words, they may be aimed at the enterprise, the corporate budget, but well, yeah, 5,000 euros, which is that's less than 5,000 US dollars. I'm pretty sure. Or is it the other way around? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I never know.
But anyway, it's not cheap, but it might be. If you've got some spare money, it might be an option. Um, they're just as cumbersome, in my opinion, as most of the others actually on the market. And in particular, they seem to be designed for pairing with particular machines like the ThinkStations, which and ThinkPad, um, which I always thought of as IBM products, but I think Lenovo, has branded now too.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, yeah, in fact, I've got a wonderful touch. I've got a 4K touch screen here, which I barely use. I've got second hand. It's about 4 years old now, and it must be part of Lenovo because it's got the ThinkPad type um, logo in it. Um, it can work as a screen with anything, and it's got a touch screen port that will go into a Windows machine or a Mac. But it's got its own operating system, which is an earlier version of Google's Chrome OS. No, Android. I'm sorry, I get them confused with Google, and it's a bit clunky, to be honest. But anyway, but they are a good company, and to think that they made this, I think it was about £1,000 if I'd ever got it new. But it was 4K resolution, and it was touchscreen, and the touchscreen works with any, it's got a separate USB connector, so the touchscreen can actually work with any computer you plug it into. Nifty, nifty. I've forgotten all about that. Lazy these days. It's
Right.
very
Right.
heavy. It's a bloody heavy monitor too. So setting it all up is one of those things where if you're not in the mood, you just don't do it. Right.
Right. Right.
Moving on here. That article, by the way, is at vrfocus.com. I don't know why I forgot that. vrfocus.com. And moving on, we're coming to uploadvr.com. Another nice, simple, quick title. uploadvr.com. And this is news about a social VR network called VTime, which is coming to Quest, which of course is the new incarnation of the dreaded O series. And November the 5th, apparently, it's going to arrive. Um, it took a little longer for the port to happen than was anticipated back in 2019. Um, it's a bit of a different approach to social VR compared to its contemporaries like Altspace VR and Rec Room. Rather than exploring worlds together, users sit together in immersive environments to chat and share content. You might say plan a meeting in outer space or at the bottom of the ocean. You can upload your own 360 videos, uh, photos to visit and watch set content in virtual theatres. Um, it's been available on other platforms for some time, including smartphones. It was developed by a UK-based studio that raised 7.6 million in mid 2018 to work on its VR, social VR and AR offerings. And it has experience on its side, they say here, though the social VR scene is pretty well contested on Quest headsets. So yeah, no. Well, I imagine you better get that all over the place, because, as I say, it's already up and running. This announcement really is the fact that it will be coming to the Quest in a few days' time. Monday will be no Tuesday. No, November the 5th. Fireworks, bonfire night, Guy Fawkes night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, wherever that is. So Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday. But so yeah, that's Thursday, I think. Oh, it's the same day Boris is locking us down, so we won't be able to have a Bug Guy Falls night anyway. Oh well, never mind. We can burn Boris on the stake instead. Yeah, that's an idea. They can have a Boris burning. Screw Guy Fawkes. Much better candidate. Sorry, Boris.
Okay.
Shut me up, shut me up. Right, okay, so that says uploadvr.com. Right, okay, roadtovr.com. This is another well-known one, of course. Stanford University and Samsung, the company, have developed ultra-dense OLED display capable of. Right, you thought the 10,000 was bad, right? 20,000
Oh,
PPI. Researchers Stanford, they've developed a display packing in. Oh, actually, I think this is the same thing. It's a matter of how you look at it. 20,000 ppi is greater than 10,000 pixels per inch. No, no, maybe this could be a fair amount of different thing. Um, Developed a display capable of packing in greater than 10,000 pixels per inch. Something that's slated to be used in AR headsets and contact lenses of the future. God, can you imagine a contact lens with? You wouldn't know it was there, would you?
sure.
10,000 pixels per inch in a contact lens.
You
A
wouldn't
contact
know it's
lens is
there. I like
it's
that.
not it's not even contact lens isn't even an inch in the first place. Oh dear, oh dear.
Isn't there
Yeah,
an audio manufacturer? Not Here's Master's Voice, but
yeah,
not even there. You
not
don't even
even
know it's
yeah.
there.
Reducing screen door effect. Yeah, I think this is linked to the one we had up earlier. This is more. Well, there's a paper at Stanford that you can click through here. They're developing an organic light emitting diode. That is what OLED stands for. And yeah, they got a nice pretty picture for showing you there. You've got a capping layer, and you've got two OLED stacks, and there's a unmarked one in the middle. That's weird. And a meta mirror. Ooh, gosh, that sounds good. That sounds like a website, metamirror.com. Right, and planarization. Yeah, so a few layers there. A few layers there. Right. Anyway, find this out at roadtovr.com. That's roadtovr.com. And we're moving on. Now, this is a bit of interest. This is actually in the Metaworld News stream too, but I put it here as well. Um, I would have missed this if it hadn't been for, I think it was Krista who woke everybody up, but Maria published it. Hypergrid Business, something we are very fond of here, is the hypergrid, which was created more or less by Krista Lopez, which it connects all the all those that want it, all instances of simulators running OpenSim software, albeit they be independent. It's like a shared platform, and you can jump between all the worlds in the using something called the hypergrid. So you can jump to like a conference sim, and then you can hyper jump, just like you would teleport in, say, Second Life or somewhere. You can teleport across grids. One may be a commercial grid, one may be a local community grid. Some of them share currencies, but they may not because there are various ones. There's other shops. You can go to a shopping grid to buy stuff or get stuff for free and then take it back to your own. The whole thing is kind of interconnected. It's like having a few thousand Second Life platforms all connected so you can jump from one to the other. None of them are anything like as big as Second Life, for example, but there are some quite big ones, just as there are some very, very small ones too. And yeah, they're all actually connected. And the hypergrid, and in fact, my Discord server is actually called Hypergrid Explorers and Creators. If you are not on that and want to join me there, please do. Hypergrid Explorers and Creators on Discord. Um, and yeah, basically 12 years. It's amazing to think that it's 12 years since Krista actually wrote the original sort of version of this. It has obviously been updated sim. OpenSim itself has been updated a few times since then. But the hypergrid functionality that's built into it has pretty much stayed the same. Um, there was a few years ago there was a major point where an undiscovered line of code was found to be causing a problem, and to fix it, all they needed to was delete it, and they were suddenly able to teleport even vaster different distances than they had before. But apart, that's probably the only significant real change to the idea of the hypergrid, basically, although there have been smaller changes. November, when it started, there were 33 known public open sim grids, and she managed to get 22 of them hypergrid enabled. This month now, we have 348 public grids, um, and only about 2 dozen of them are not hypergrid enabled. Hypergrid can be enabled or disenabled by the owner of the simulator, so it's not as though there's grids out there that aren't compatible as a rule. It's just they choose to turn it off. And another piece of news, which I suddenly realised I don't seem to have the link for here, unless it's in the Metaworld news section later, is our first endeavours, as it were, apart from running around exploring in OpenSim and on the hypergrid for that matter, were thanks to Roddy Mackey, who'd opened a grid called the Great Canadian Grid. And we were there. I'd had 12 regions there at one point. Our studios were there. Everything was there. And the grid actually kind of disappeared because of complications with service providers and Roddy being exhausted, I think. But the wonderful news this week is he's brought it back, finally, after quite a long break. The only thing I do notice about the press release is that it does not appear to be coming back. It's an open sim grid and it has its own back end and everything else, but it doesn't look like it's coming back with the hypergrid enabled. Whether that's to maintain it as a small community it always was, uh, or whether there's practical reasons for that, I don't know. But
Hmm.
apparently, it's not going to be hypergrid enabled. But I
Oh,
would say to Roddy, if he's watching, welcome back.
yeah. Wow.
Wow, yeah, so and the hypergrid turns 12. So yeah, we're full of no, full of news here. Short article there, very short article from Michael for hypergrid business, but there again, important point. So hypergridbusiness.com is the address for hypergrid business, where you will find that. Right, moving on again. Which wasn't getting that pop up every time. Okay, this is VentureBeat, I believe. Yes, here it is. VentureBeat.com. And Alethea, I think is how you pronounce it, AI, meaning artificial intelligence, of course. Alethea AI makes it easy to create AI avatars from a single photo. Now, I followed the link here and I got totally confused because I'll show you why. Because as I moved down here, they have this illustration. Um, let's see, just checking. No, I can't see him here. Right. Um, you have things like this, which make it look like AI has created a very photorealistic user-generated avatar. And well, all the ones at the top there seem to be, but then it's also included ones like this, which again are based on photos, but they've obviously included elements of exaggeration, so you cartoonize them, so to see. Basically, they're claiming that a short video shoot in CGI animation would cost thousands of dollars, whereas they can just do it quick.
Hmm.
No, where there's a price on quick.
Right, right.
Probably a price on quick, yeah. Um, the goal is to create expressive and photorealistic avatars that people can use for their own purposes, like maybe attending Zoom meetings in their place that they don't want to attend. I wonder if it doesn't sound. I got a feeling that the author of this piece is not native English. Taka. Well, never mind. It's doing a reasonable job anyway. Um, the value proposition is that they are expressive and emotive. He said the characters look like real humans, but they're not. They do and say whatever you tell them to. This opens up new possibilities for content creation, storytelling, customized interactive experience. Um, interesting. All I can say is obviously we think of things like Second Life or even Soundfire here as being that already. My lips move as I talk. my avatar kind of gestures and things, but it's not particularly photorealistic. Um, it could be better, but then again, I probably wouldn't like the uncanny valley thing, and I'd actually end up cartoonizing my photorealism. Um, each to their own, as they say. But it does sound that this is would be a kind of system where you could actually just sort of get a photograph scanned and mate an avatar that could be used all over the place. There are, of course, other companies doing it, but as far as I know, none of them are actually, or at least not advertising their fact that they're using their own special AI facility to get it all right. Um, the article here says if all this sounds familiar, there's a company called Genies who are doing a lot of the same thing, except with avatars that are more stylized, non-photorealistic. And there's a company called Possible Reality doing it for games. The links to these are down here or up here as it is now. Um, okay, and got some here. You are the AI avatars don't have to be human. So it's got a range of certainly non-human ones there, I think. Right. Now, apparently, it's also woven into blockchain technology,
Mm.
secure, transparent ledger. So they 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 say this means you can identify, without fail, who owns an avatar and whatever, and the likeness can't be duplicated or something. Um, it uses non-fungible. This is I think it was last week.
Last week, yeah.
I came across the non-fungible tokens, NFTs. Well, anyway, they're a big thing. I've been reading a week about non-fungible tokens. Still, every time I see fungible, I think of the word fungus.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't seem right. Fundable, but fungible. Anyway, similar to CryptoKitties technology. Gosh, what is that? Okay, obstacles ahead, etc., etc. So they're very much still in the startup phase, but as you can see, there's a whole load to read all about it there. And the article is published at venturebeat.com, venturebeat.com, as we move on, of course, as we always have to do in the end. Right. You'll notice I'm trying to be quicker with these things this week to make better pacing of things. Right, virtual reality training for space exploration.
Woo.
Yes, indeed. Forget space opera. This is real space stuff. The Australian Space Agency, interestingly enough, have an investment initiative that supports 10 grant recipients to work on programs with international space agencies. Ray Tracer is one of the successful recipients, and they're based in Queensland. And codenamed Titan Lake, Ray Tracer will develop underwater virtual reality training simulations for astronauts. Now, this is quite nice. I mean, it's this is the helmet type virtuality, but taken to extremes with haptics. The idea is you'll be rigged up in a virtuality environment, but your real body will be underwater. And so, without actually going up into space or going into a complicated anti-gravity machine, which doesn't have much room to move, you'll be underwater and you'll feel like you're actually floating in space in space environment or the space environment, no gravity at all really. But the virtuality you are seeing, albeit while you're underwater, will be a training exercise or something. So they use the underwater idea to simulate the everything tactile that you would experience in orbit, for example, I guess. And but the virtual component will presumably include the things like things you have to touch and operate in that environment. So that picture is showing a ray trace diver wearing a VR headset in one of their field tests. I hope he doesn't get too entangled in the cable. It looks like they haven't got an untethered version of this one yet. Anyway, an astronaut could be training in lunar orbit, Martian orbit, or they could be conducting a spacewalk at the International Space Station with the Earth below. Um, they also use high resolution 3D renders to help astronauts visualize the environment in space. The software will, and of course, whatever puddle you're swimming in, will literally bring space to life. They don't mention the puddle, that's my addition. But you do need a product of some sort to get into, don't you?
Hmm.
Right. And inspiring the next generation of game developers, because once you've got something like this, obviously it is not limited to training astronauts. You can make games where people float in space for real, so to speak. And yeah, of course, the other interesting thing in the news this week, not our news, um, is the fact that they have now conclusively found a rather larger amount of water on the moon than they realized. And they're pretty sure there is enough there for us to drink and do what we need to do, which is sort of form a kind of lunar colony. And well, it's not Elon Musk, but I've already been reading the blogs about templates. They're the people trying to write the future, basically, and provide outlines of the way of the lunar colony will actually be our launch pad to Mars. In other words, you'll go to the space station, then you'll go to the moon, and then the moon, because of its low gravity, will actually be where the rockets take you off heading for Mars. I think I've seen that in a movie too, to be honest, or a similar thing, but apparently it's quite real. It would be the most practical way of having a large Martian mission would be to launch it, the final stage of it, as it were, from the moon. And you'll better live there while you're practicing because there's water. There's water, H2O water as well. Well, I don't think there's any other kind of water to be honest, but it's drinkable and whatever. They even might. They think is it Triton, one of the moons of Saturn? They think they found it there too, but it's an awfully long way to take a
So
photograph, isn't it?
it's a bit of a trip. Yep.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trip to the moon, to be honest.
Wow.
And to Mars. Yeah, out to the moons of. Well, I guess the moons of Titan are probably are closer to Mars, but even so, no, no, no. How could they be? I'm talking nonsense now. I'm getting all romantic and confusing
Right. Yep.
me planets with the everything else's. Oh, would you? Yeah, Google, shut up. Yeah, actually, I don't think you can actually hear that. It's
Not
in my
really.
kit.
It's
It
not
was
too
in my
loud.
kit. It's in my kitchen, a different room. But how? What? And why she talked on that one, not the one beside me, I don't
I
know.
know.
Anyway,
Wow.
anyway, yeah. Anyway. What was I about to say? There was something else on the. Oh yes, yeah. I watched the first episode of the new Mandalorian
Hmm.
new season. Now Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to do something. She's turned music on. Hey, Google, stop. Stop the music. Oh, God.
The Ghosts in the Machine.
Goes in the machine. Now, they're obviously it's been spiked with some Halloween thing or something. Right.
Right.
Well, it wasn't spooky music. It was just gross kind of lounge music.
Not your usual
Right.
channel. Right.
No, no. My usual channel's actually on, but it's so faint you wouldn't hear it. So that's why I realised something was amiss. Right. Okay. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, Mandalorian. I think it was. Um, or was it? Yeah, I watched the new Star Trek Discovery too. But one of them, they land on a planet, and there's a whole load of what are asteroids floating off the ground, and
Oh yeah.
they're there in space. When you go down, you've got to navigate through them. But even when you're on the ground, they're just floating above you,
Yeah.
and
That
it's
was that was
weird.
Discovery. Right.
Oh, that was Discovery.
Yep.
Okay, not Mandalorian. Okay, but the it was just very odd effect because I was saying to myself, well, hang on. You could see in a like very low gravity environment like the moon, something like that might have happened, where they're still in orbit but very only a bit off the ground. But this in Discovery, they were walking on the ground, so there's clearly gravity there. And these weren't artificial things; they were actually asteroids. How the hell could they exist like that when the surface of the planet obviously had gravity? It just I thought Star Trek should know better than
Just
this.
more questions than answers. Right.
Yeah, well, exactly, yes. Anyway, I'm
I
going
I
off.
think that the movie Avatar tried to explain it somewhat about strange gravity fields, and you could actually see the lines of gravity at some times, or the lines of
Oh,
magnetism. Excuse me, strange magnetic fields. But no explanation offered in Discovery. just
I should rewatch
floating
Avatar.
rocks.
You know,
Yeah, yeah,
I saw it when it came out. I've got the Blu-ray of it, but I've never actually rewatched it in high definition or anything. So I should
yeah,
probably go back to it.
yeah,
What is nice, but yes, yeah. I mean, I suppose, um, if it was an individual object or a few of them, that has some kind of anti-gravity properties, then that would be one thing. But the fact that we saw them approaching the planet, looking just like ordinary asteroids, but coming much lower, um, I don't know. It just seemed, they're just too close to the ground to not be affected by gravity. Yeah. Anyway, anyway, Star Trek is just one of those. If it had been Mandalorian, they might have got away with it. But Star Trek to me is one of those classic science fiction things. So it's always, despite being in the future and actually pioneering things like mobile phones for us, come think of it, um, it was all fairly based in hard science. They didn't too often drift into anything too fantastical. And this justified any, I can understand a world where the physics are different, but I couldn't understand a world where there obviously anti-gravity and gravity were in total conflict and there's no evidence.
yeah, yeah.
So let us move on. We were talking about virtual reality for training in space exploration, and the post there that you want to get to is miragenews.com. So it's miragenews.com, and
Yeah.
that's where you can read all about the outer spatial verse, whatever. Right. No proscenium.com. We've been here before, not in the
Mm-hmm.
last couple of weeks. I never know how to pronounce this. Um, no proscenium, I think, is the one I eventually settled on. It doesn't slip off the tongue very well. NOPROSCENIUM.com. And rather sort of little morsel for a title here. When this reality fails you, it's not doing a very good job at the moment, is it? Try escaping to a virtual one. And then brackets. Opinion.
Yeah.
Well, why not?
Well, thank goodness. Right.
Oh, wait. Doesn't really need to be an opinion. Might be the only option before long. Right, how I learned to stay sanish during a global pandemic by playing VR games and remote escape rooms by somebody called Cara Mandel. Right. And yeah, God knows what they've managed to do to themselves on that one. That thing, they're close up with a 2D fire, virtually. And that apparently is an Avatar online experience in the Ukraine. Well, go figure. Right.
Hmm.
Anyway, this is a personal experience kind of post, really. Plenty there, and it covers quite a lot of stuff. Do a lot of focusing on gaming, but actually, I love this. One of her favorites is The Room. There are
Oh yeah.
three
Yeah.
versions. There are three versions of that I have on the iPad. There's actually a new one which you can't get on the iPad. You actually have to get it in a headset. So, but yeah, that's fiendishly. I mean, I think I think numbers one, two, and three. I played all of them, but I don't think I've ever finished all of them yet either. Maybe, oh, I think I finished the first, but anyway. Um, right. Yeah. Anyway, as you can see, she's got a lot to say. Right. So, a nice read too. Nice sort of,
Oh, good.
you know, it's like when you're reading somebody's personal blog, but they're not just ranting about themselves. They're actually talking about something of interest. So yeah. Okay, let's move on. Did I give you? Yeah, no
Hmm.
proscenium.com for that. Right, Venice VR. Right. Um. Okay. Um. This was Venice International's film festival. Now it was all VR this year. Not only in VR it was held, but also the content was VR too. Um, but it has been continuing, even though the sort of peak of the weekend or week of the festival is gone. Um, And this one's talking about three VR productions with live theatre, which vary dramatically between them. Comedy Virtual, Gods of Mount Olympus, and Finding Pandora, and whatever. Yeah, just an overview and focusing on a couple of particular ones, and particularly helping players become part of the performance, which is the point at which you can effectively say that virtual theatre becomes social VR, doesn't it? If you're in the audience watching a virtual event, it is a social VR experience, really, unless you're on your own. and yeah, this really is getting into the social VR territory a little bit. I've just thought of something, and it's I put it away, didn't I? I put it away. Where did it go again? This is the screen we started with, if you recall, the picture screen. I did have something rather interesting here. I haven't filed it in the normal place for it here yet, but it came up in the week. Um, if I can find it, it actually shows a kind of. Here we are. This is a real world festival event in the late summer, and this is how they cope with social distancing. I mean, literally, nobody's in the field. They've all got their individual, bubbles on platforms,
Hmm.
laid out very geometrically, and just like a normal concert, you can't see the screen. You can't see the stage, but hopefully you've got a couple of big screens projecting back at you. And it does look kind of comfy here. This couple in the foreground, they've got their folding chairs and all their kit, and they've probably got considerably more room than they were for crowd at an old-fashioned festival, where the closer you get to the stage, the more like a sardine you become. So yes, I just remembered that I've got that there. And there's also, I don't know whether these pictures too are part of the thing I'm just talking about, the Venice Festival, but these are a couple of VR environments that it's a VR environment that visualizes Van Gogh's paintings.
Hmm.
And you can see there that, these are walking around in, well, the sunflower, isn't it? And of course, the real classic one here is Starry, Starry Night. Oh, well, sorry, that's the song. You get
Right.
the idea. And yeah, people are just strolling around. They basically use the textures of the painting and things to make the ground and all the other stuff. But just to create an environment that virtually invokes the spirit of the original two-dimensional painting.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm glad I remembered that, even if it meant coming back to the picture section. Okay, so help players become part of the performance, which is a major feature here, and meet new heroes, etc., etc. Play guardrails, meta movie. Somebody else was doing something called meta movie, and I don't think they're related, but um, there was a meta movie here too. A story-based reason for every element, and oh, that's weird. No, these are real. These are real people. I can tell. But I don't know what that thing. So players are joining live performances, not just games. Fair enough. And choosing the right venues, it goes into there, and different sorts of ticketing options they mentioned down here. Uh, and in Pandora, there's the screen capture from that one. And all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. That's what Shakespeare said. The metaverse is very much part of our world now, they conclude. So,
Hmm.
associating with Shakespeare with the metaverse. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so interesting stuff there. This post is a nice long one, heavily illustrated and nice to read as well. It's at uploadvr.com, so that's uploadvr.com. And moving to my sidebar here. Okay, moving on now. We've got two of these this week. Voices of VR.com. VOICESOFVR.com. Number 956 was a sneak peek of Rain Dance Immersive 50 hours of VR selections from October 28th, still going on till November 9th. This is pretty much the same as the well, Rain Dance is a different festival, of course, from the Venice one, but a similar sort of thing. Talking about the experiences there. The article here doesn't really give you much. It's really a matter of tuning in and listening to the podcast with over 50 hours of VR selections in discussion and presumably hints on where to go. So you'll find that at voicesofvr.com. And moving on here again, Microsoft, your mighty Microsoft company who still churn out Windows, don't they? Microsoft have transitioned to OpenXR standard for Windows Mixed Reality and HoloLens. Um, Probably another. I always laugh a bit when a giant company like Microsoft do this. It's like you feel like they've reached the end of their tether and they're finally going open source. OpenXR standard is for future new features for in VR. Basically, we've mentioned it quite a lot. Um, Basically, Unity 2021 time, whenever that is, OpenXR will graduate to be the only supported Unity backend for targeting HoloLens 2 and Windows Mixed Reality headsets. OpenXR is also supported by Epic's Unreal Engine, and Microsoft formally recommends others using their own custom engines in AR and VR uh, to switch to using the OpenXR API going forward. All a bit technical there, but basically, I mean, um, developing using OpenXR is a very sort of safe sort of open source sort of thing. Obviously we'll work with Windows Mixed Reality and HoloLens too. But given the commonality will become important as more and more people, companies more to the point, sign up to OpenXR's implementation. Um, Also affecting indie developers in the coming years. Um, you've got Unity and Unreal, obviously, at the moment. Microsoft, Facebook, and Valve. Oh no, these are getting into the point of might. Might do. Okay, technical post there, really, anyway. Uploadvr.com again, uploadvr.com for that one. And, right. Readwrite.com is READWRITE. And this post is how virtual reality is transforming the future of work. Oh, finish my coffee. Never mind. Right. Okay. Yeah. Basically, this is obvious overview of the industry and looking at it as remote work. Um, Focusing on all the good things about it. Obviously, there are some things that VR isn't appropriate for in the workplace, but they're not really mentioned in this article. Are you ready for the VR reality scenario? So yeah, one for workplace managers and companies and things here really that are not yet actually doing it, so to speak. So readwrite.com is where you can read that post. Back at uploadvr.com, um, this is another one that is really for the Oculus thingy questy thing. Um, Immersed can now bring your real keyboard into your virtual office. Now, I mean, I don't go much for this, but I mean, and I got an Oculus Go way back when, and I do notice that a bit like on the iPad or whatever, if you want to type and you haven't got an attached keyboard, it gives you a virtual keyboard so you can sort of type on screen. And I gather what is happening in headsets is tends to be a bit like this. Um, but they've now come up with a system that actually can connect a real keyboard, just in the way you can connect your other haptic controllers. And it describes it as no more blind typing in VR. There's a free version for solo use, and it's limited to one virtual monitor. Um, but it's an app that lets you and your team bring monitors into a shared virtual workspace and well, whatever. Um, you can read more about it here at uploadvr.com, and I'll just give you, or I'll give us both a quick look. So there you go. That's what it's all about. Uploadvr.com to read more about that. And I mean, it's okay being able to touch your keyboard and type. I wonder if you're walking around the room if you can actually find a keyboard. Is another matter entirely, but never mind.
Oh yeah, it's always been an issue. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, I suppose you just put a strap on it and tuck it under your arm, so it's always available.
Ha.
Okay, but more about haptics here. Feel the future with Interhaptics' new design and development tools. A touch of technology in your own hands. Right. Um, 7 months of beta testing. Interhaptics have just released an ambitious project, which is a mixed reality development suite for deploying haptics across platforms for both head-mounted displays and ordinary mobile devices. Look, Queenie's in this. Well, it's not a video. There's a picture of Queenie on the Times.
Oh,
Interesting.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, she's so small, but that's Queenie. Yes. Her Majesty. Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to call her Queenie. Right. Um, let's see what they can tell us. Hopefully, oh, it's 1 minute. I'm getting too old for all this. I didn't. Well, I got the idea, but I doubt if I could cope with the learning curve of something like that. Um, right now.
Yeah. I understand.
I love the I've forgotten what the second one was. The first one I noticed was the control for stiffness. You know, I can't remember where I've ever seen a graphic of a material and just being able to adjust things like stiffness and starchiness and stuff
Yeah.
of the surface. But yeah, I'm sure. Um, Long inspired by the pivotal work of Apple as a touchstone in the assimilation of haptic experiences, they're concerned that many contemporary developers and creators are not thinking outside the box. But by not doing so, they miss a significant chance to connect with their users in a tangible way. So this is the future, I guess. Um, and well, I can't. This is Unity, isn't it? Yeah, I have a hard enough time with Unity here without worrying about well, I suppose it's like
Finding your
anything.
keyboard.
But
Yeah.
if you do it, and 20 years ago, I'd probably be picking it up and thinking, "Oh, got to play with that one," find out what it would do for me. Anyway, yes, that's this post is at vrscout.com, vrscout.com in this case. I said there was another Voices of VR this week, and here it is. This is number 958, voicesofvr.com, VOICESOFVR.com. And this is a candid conversation, I should bloody well hope so, with Facebook's AR VR Privacy Policy Manager and new potentials for community feedback. I don't know how to interpret that. I haven't listened to this one. Um, Probably comes as no surprise to most of you. Um, New potentials for community feedback, VR privacy policy, but yeah, these are issues, but from Facebook, for Christ's sake, that seems to be the last thing on their mind.
Hmm.
I'm surprised, most of the ethical discussions Facebook has been having have almost exclusively happened in private under non-disclosure agreements. Under Chatham House rules that occluded any public transparency or accountability. So yeah, this is the author speaking, I think. So he's been asking Facebook for a couple of years for a privacy expert, and good news is finally being able to pin down this guy called Nathan White, who's Facebook Reality Now's privacy policy manager. So he goes on about it there, but remember, this is actually a podcast, so it's about an hour or more of the actual podcast to listen to too. So voicesofvr.com, VOICESOFVR.com. Right, um, coming right up to date here. This was this morning, I believe. Well, it says 1 day ago here. I think I only got this morning. This is BBC Co UK. That's an
Hmm.
easy one to remember, isn't
Yep.
it? BBC.co.uk. Coronavirus. Is virtuality tourism about to take off? There was another post earlier at the beginning of the week on very much the same theme. I wonder if the BBC found it and decided to regurgitate into this article. They did do that a lot. Right. Nah, maybe not. Plans for international trips in 2020 brought to an abrupt halt. Not a tourist in sight. Empty hotels. Blah blah blah. 41 million jobs at risk. Yeah, we know all this. What's to do with in the absence of travellers, tourism boards, hotels, and destinations have turned to virtuality, a technology still in its relative infancy, to keep up would-be visitors interested and prepare for the long road to recovery. But what began for many as a temporary stopgap measure may now be a long-term tool. Data predicts that, or predicts, whoever they are predicts. Where's it gone? I've lost it. Oh yeah, and latter predicts that travel will not resume to pre-pandemic levels until 2024. That may be optimistic. So anyway, the BBC have rounded up. They're basically telling you that there may be a future in travel via VR while you wait for the real world to come back, if it ever does. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so that is BBC Co UK, that one. And I do believe we must be getting near the end of. Oh, yes, we are, because Neil Gaiman is definitely not part of this show. Right. Um, leveraging. Sorry. Leveraging VR technology for developing your HR strategy. HR is what? Human resources, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yet another aspect of the enterprise where they suggest you could easily leverage VR, presumably for both interviews and training and management. So logistics can all be even complex logistics that you used to where you used to have mind maps or spreadsheets can now be VR can allow you to view much more information in terms of movement of things, etc. At the same time. Um, yeah, okay, so Meet in VR. I'm just going to toggle the actual website for this. Here we are. Meet in VR is actually a product, I think, but actually, no, it's not really telling us anything more. It's quite an interesting article, anyway. Um, Mark Whittle, that's an unfortunate surname at the moment, isn't it? Well, maybe not. The
Hmm.
Whittles do a good job. Our our chief of government health spokesman's called Whittle.
Oh, okay.
That's why. But actually, he's on the scientist side rather than the politician side. So can't be too hard on him. He's trying his best. Right. Yeah. Okay. So a lot to read there, really, on HR strategy and VR. So you'll find that at Meet in VR. MEetinVR.com. So it's like meeting VR, but without the G and all one word. Meetinvr.com. And the final one for this week in the Malbones feed, Alice. um, this is at technoweekly.com. This one really did just come in this morning. TECHNOWEEKLY.com. Research offers 10-year forecast on virtual reality content market. And, well, it does indeed. Um, Kind of overview. You can get a PDF sample copy of a report this is based on, and presumably you can order the PDF too, but I suspect that costs a fair bit of money. A lot of these analytical reports do. Yeah, you can buy the report from there. But if this is your field of interest, oh, actually, the key players in the study were Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, Linden Lab, Electronic Arts, Facebook, Samsung Electronics, Google, HTC, Virtuix, Omni, Leap Motion, Tulsa Studios, and Qualcomm.
Hmm.
Quite interesting that Linden Lab are listed with
Right,
what
right.
are otherwise pretty major companies. Um, taking part in that study. So, yeah, and you can follow the link on the page to actually buy the report. It doesn't say how much it is, but you know, the best thing to do would be to read the sample copy, um, which will give you an understanding the structure of the complete report. So read that first, which is free, and then see if you want the report itself. Okay, so that's all done. I'll just go quickly scroll to the top here, right? And yeah, okay. Now, moving on. As I said, this is in the feeds in Metaworld News. I already mentioned this earlier, so it's simply in a different feed. But this is the Great Canadian Grid is back. This is a post at hypergridbusiness.com. Hypergrid, well, I better do it again, haven't I? HYPERGRIDBUSINESS.com. And yeah, we were very much part of the Great Canadian Grid from the beginning, really, until it closed. And anyway, it's now back. Roddy Mackey, you can see him in a small picture there, says he spent an entire year, day and night, learning the back end of everything. He previously used an open sim hosting provider to manage the back end, a decision he said contributed to the grid's closing last March. Finally, there's no one to sabotage us, he said. I'm still learning, but I'm very happy now I know I have things working again without anyone's help.
Hmm.
So you apparently you can't use any old accounts there. So if I want to go back in there, I have to create a
Oh,
new
okay.
account. It's really all new rebuild. You can also rent regions starting at Canadian $5, which is actually only $3.80 US, and that gives you a 15,000 per region. So it sounds like the same, if not a better deal than when they were what they had that they were closing. Um, they also have backups of the OAR region files from the previous version of the grid, but there were some problems with how textures were saved. Um, I have over 12 folders of OARs I saved just in case I came back, he said. I'm sure those who loved it here can always upload new textures. And yeah, the login address is the same. And it uses an in-world currency, the MC dollar from Podex. and free OR and IAR uploads, etc. And he's working with Kitely to allow deliveries from the Kitely market. Lack of hypergrid access means that local residents can't teleport to other grids to visit friends there or go shopping, which is why they're working with Kitely and the Kitely marketplace. So I have to say good luck to Robbie there. It is slightly um, upsetting that they won't be on the hypergrid, at least for now, but at least they're safe. Better safe than sorry, maybe, is the motto. Right. Okay, so that just leaves us with the Metaworld news feed. It's fairly sparse this week, but we did actually have a couple of things here. This one, for example, is Sansar's site at YouTube. If you want to subscribe, that's their account. And this is Sansar going spooky. Sorry. This was posted last night, in case you
Okay.
hadn't guessed. So it sounds like it even does spooky quite well. I hopped into this place actually, but I hopped out again pretty rapidly when I realised that I had no choice but to stick with this theme.
Okay.
I just wasn't into. I built a Halloween thing in Second Life once with a graveyard where a zombie came out, a skeleton came out of it. But so, folks, last night is over. Thank goodness for that. But here is your last chance to have a bit of gawking here in Sansar. Oh, and look at the bats, eh? Okay, well, it wasn't just in Sansar here. Uh, the Sacrarium grid, which is an open sim grid, which is actually on the hypergrid, I'm pleased to say. They had their little thing yesterday too. This is actually nearly 8 minutes long, so there's no way I'm going to play it all. But this was their Halloween party. Oh yeah, a lot of it's in French too, so another reason not to play too much of it. But you can see what they're doing there. They're just recording a spooky event on OpenSim, of course. So just showing you that things go on there as well. Um, the White Angel and Nim Fetka are the ones who posted this. Um, I don't subscribe to them. I would have got it through the OpenSim videos feed. But if you want to find it, that's where you go. And actually, this is in the Metaworld news feed at Twitter too. If you want a direct link. Right now, these next two are the final ones that I've just loaded from Slack at this end, and these ones are ones that are not on our direct feed. You can find them in the Metaworld Discord, um, and some of them have direct links in the elsewhere. The Weekend XR podcast here is the one with Charlie Fink from Forbes and other places. They have their guest host was Jerry Ellsworth this week. Let's just have a quick beat there. This is 20 minutes long, so we're not going to be going very far with this, but
Yeah, we have a solo pack for folks that want to play like solo video games or solo board games. It comes with the wand and the headset and the game board. And then
right.
we have a group pack, which comes with 3 headsets, 3 wands.
Okay, this chap here is Ted Shilowitz, who is a futurist with Paramount Pictures, the movie company, and Jerry Ellsworth up there. Um, she's the CEO of a company called Tilt Five, and she's what they describe as their guest host for the week. And that chap, of course, is Charlie Forbes, who who runs it. Sorry, not Charlie Forbes.
Charlie
Charlie
Forbes,
Fink.
I like that.
Charlie. I might as well quote Charlie Forbes,
Sure.
can't you? No, sorry. His actual name is Charlie Fink, but he is commonly found to be writing for Forbes. Yeah, the duration of this one's only 20 minutes, so if you've got time, probably well worth checking it out. As I say, This Week in XR podcast is what you would want for that. And finally, James's favourite one is back.
Yep.
Strange one. Right. It was a very weird. Yeah.
And
I don't think it
as
ever
you can probably hear,
left earlier.
as you can probably hear, I'm halfway through it. Right, this is the VR download, Blair Witch, Warhammer, Tempest Fall, DACA Gear, PlayStation, etc. And yeah, you can find this at the YouTube account for Upload VR. We've been there quite a few times in the text section, as it were, but not in video. So Upload VR. Note that VR is in capitals, but the rest of the word upload is in lowercase. Well, except for the beginning. And yeah, you can subscribe there, and if it's live, you can if you catch them when they're live, you can join them in.
Yeah, I did this, and
And
you
you
know,
prob-
oh, I was just going to mention, Mal, at the end of this episode, the host talks about they're reformatting their show in the future, and they're going to be having the technology part of it on Mondays, and they're going to have a gaming part of it on Thursdays. So that sounds like a transition we went through some time back, but splitting a show
yeah,
into two
so that
pieces. Yeah.
yeah, because it gets longer and longer, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we used to be Metaworld News used to be the opening 20 hours of In World Review.
Right, right.
I mean, it's really funny. It was Maria, of course, who wanted the split, and then and then when we did everything she wanted, she suddenly decided she didn't have time to do it. Oh, you can't win, can you? Yeah,
Nah,
this is
nah, it's all right.
We're on YouTube, once a week, talking about the news and all that good stuff. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking our one single awesome show. We're going to break it into two shows. You see that? You see what happened there? We had one, and now it's going to be two, just like
but
that.
you still haven't got any
That's what
arms.
happens.
Right, right.
Exactly.
Oh, so you did make it to the end.
Now,
Okay.
we are moving to a new format, new schedule. On Mondays, we will be having the hardware version of the VR download. It will be mostly hardware topics, headsets, industry topics. Yes, the outlook of the industry, trends, a lot of that kind of stuff. And then on Thursdays, like today, but probably earlier in the day, we'll nail down a time later. We'll be doing a gaming focused show. So it'll be led by me and Jamie here. On Thursdays here on our YouTube, we'll be having studio discussion and a VR download, but specifically about gaming. So Monday will be industry topics, hardware topics, trends. Thursday will be very focused on VR games, maybe AR games if we ever have any that are worth talking about.
And content.
Content in general,
like movies and stuff like that as well. Yeah,
yeah. So we're kind of splitting it into the software and then the hardware, like two separate shows. Both equally great, so double the content for you guys. We're going to be putting the both.
Okay, well, I think you get the idea. I was trying to get a hold of the lady on that, Zena. She apparently is Upload VR's person in charge of video all round.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, just to say hello, really. See if
I love the.
right,
love
they
it.
are based in Britain, you see, too. So it's nice to get hold of somebody like that who's probably just down the road, albeit we can't go out of our houses at the moment. Okay, I've done this once before, and I've done it again. I'm not going to go to our other feed for Malbone's Writer or anything like that, but what I'm doing here is, as the days go by, so to speak, I keep favourites at Flickr. I get a lot of images coming into my feeds from Second Life from all over the place, and most of them from Second Life. And when I see a simulation or a scene that I like, I add it to my favourites, and then of course I can do what I'm about to do, and then go back to my favourites here and quickly flip through them like a sort of slideshow. And my criteria for choosing favourites is I'm imagining all these scenes to be on my own Metaworld grid, which isn't up at the moment. I mean, I've published a lot of photos from there, but I tend to imagine that places like you're seeing in front of you here now um, are scenes actually that could easily be from my own grid. In other words, they blend in. It's normally a case of come on, give me the right thing. There we are. It's normally a case of landscape that I really like, moody color and things like that. I don't like them too extreme in the dark or too loud or whatever. So, I can maybe go through 500 pictures on Flickr in a day or more. And some days not even find one, some days find two or three, but I don't favourite that many. So the ones I've chosen here will just give you an idea of the ones I photo. And I imagine them all as running as a slideshow, almost intertwined with, some of my own. So this was this is in Second Life. It's in a region called Cakeland, which Kekeland, and this is posted by Sandy Benelli. Um, Moving through, upgrade to Pro to hide the ads. Oh Lord, now it's down there. Never mind, never mind. Okay, right. This is Ash Falls. Ash as in volcanic ash, and then falls as in waterfalls. And yep, beach rentals, all sorts of things. But anyway, I like this one because it's got that wild look, mountains in the sea in the distance, a bit of foliage around, and a little line in the middle. It's a nice little composition because it gives you distance, foreground, and probably the focal thing is actually right in the middle there. They're in no great detail. So I could imagine that hanging off my coastline somewhere, if you see what I mean. Do feel free to comment, James, by the way. No, I won't, he says. Okay, yeah, this one is called Gilded Memory. It seems to have been photographed in a region called Phantos, again, Second Life, Phantos. And moving on, I don't want to make a big thing of this. We're near the end now. So they're all different sizes,
Oh,
which
very
is why they're
nice.
not aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, right, look down from the bridge is all she tells me about this. This is a photographer called Alana, Alana, or at least that's her username. Doesn't give any real indication here of actually where this picture was taken. But again, I'm prepared to bet it was Second Life. How to do this? Right, lie in ruins, not life in ruins. Lie in ruins. The user's called Deco Rising, and let me see. Oh, this one's not that helpful either. Um, I think. Uh, okay, I think what's happened here again, just a nice picture really that I've added. You can find this on my Twitter. Sorry, Malburn's underscore writer Twitter feed. These pictures tend to end up there or on my Tumblr. Um, this, I think, is a pre-build of a sim of ruins and campsites and trees and stuff, and it looks to me like it's been authored by somebody called Fanatic, and you actually buy, as you buy the mesh file for the region or whatever they do. It doesn't give me any indication of where it was actually photographed, so to speak. Okay. Now, again, you're probably getting a flavour now for the pictures I choose, the similarities between them in some ways. This is called the Old Mill 2, and well, we're not doing very well here. It's called the Old Mill 2. It could be anywhere.
Hmm.
But again, sort of obviously a rivery bit coming up to the coast there by the look of it. Again, I mean, one thing that makes it satisfying in similarities, of course, a lot of people decorating or maybe building, making their Sims in Second Life, they haven't carved these trees out of the ground for themselves. They bought them from Marketplace. And there's a wide variety of stuff you can buy to model your Sims and stuff. But the fact that, you can get completely different um, regions which have commonalities because the builder has chosen the same type of trees or the same type of architecture and things like that. So it's very easily in your mind to associate one simulation being next door to the other kind of thing because though they're very different, there are often elements of commonality that make you think they belong in the same world, you know. Right, moving on. uh, right, this one was about a week ago now, I think. Yeah, Swamp Beauty and Legend of Woolly Swamp. Right. The region is called Fairy Tale, actually. There you go. That can't be. If you need to look up where that is, just type in Fairy Tale and look for a sim called Fairy Tale. Um, much darker, much more colourful and sort of exotic, this one. Taken at dawn, or well, dusk, I would say, probably. Um, if you can attribute such terms to virtual world lighting conditions. And let's move along. Yeah, similar one again. I was having second thoughts about that because it looks like I normally don't like to publish things that have been photoshopped, and I've got a horrible feeling that now I've seen it a few times that might have been overly saturated deliberately. Very hard to tell. It's still pleasant enough, I suppose. And yeah, and again, moody. This one's obviously got a wind light or something attached to it to create the time of day, or even if it's a fictional time of day, so to speak. But again, it's the kind of thing, you know, rustic kind of road and fence and an old building. You can feel like you can be there. And there's no, and again, the blending of these kind of materials, you could almost believe that was a painting somebody did, that was a real life scene. That's instead of doing a build of it virtually, somebody had just done that as a painting. You know, it's got that realism to it that I like, rather than you know, sort of something that is obviously a virtual world scene. And even ones like this, which are very unreal in some ways because of the colours, you know, there's something you can imagine that being in a movie that's like a fairy tale movie. It's real enough, you know, to be in some exotic place with some exotic lighting. It's not in any way totally alien or very artificial. And here we are. We're back in Woolly Swamp. The location of the Woolly Swamp, by the way, I can now tell you is Woolly Swamp. WOOLEY space SWAMP. So if you type into Second Life Map Woolly Swamp, that's probably what you're going to get. And yep. Okay. This is the log bridge. This is on a sim called Furore, FURORE. And oh, this one I really liked. Somebody called Vanessa Jane is the photographer. It was shot at Mala Autumn Fall, the Cedars. The actual sim address is Heavenly Bay with a space between those words. So it's Heavenly Space Bay. And I'm going to follow her while I'm here. Okay. And yeah, there we go. So I'm going to leave it at that because otherwise, as you can imagine, I will be taking this all over the darn place, won't I? So, yeah, let's just get back to our picture place and got some nice graphic to take us out with. If oh, it's right. Zoom in and zoom in. Pretty I can't preset this darn thing, isn't it? Right, there we go. So that is our show, and we're turning to our galactical picture thingy to sign ourselves out with. James, right, time for your thoughts. I'm sure you've got some thoughts.
No, my only thought was about Upload VR changing their show format, so that fits right in. You already covered it, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't. When you mentioned it, I fast forwarded.
Oh, okay. All right.
and found what I guessed to be the right place, and it was.
Yeah, yeah. It'll just.
Oh,
I'm not sure if I like both topics, so I'm not sure I can divide it now between two.
well, that's the problem. If you enjoy the all-rounded sort of, I think I'm the same.
Yeah.
I don't really fully watch half of them, but because I find the games thing, can get a bit much for me because I'm not really a gamer. But if it overlaps with virtual worlds or some games are almost social spaces,
Yeah.
then it's of interest. And again, I suppose of more interest in terms of my Mal Burns feed at least is the haptic news technology sort of stuff, the gadgets or whatever.
Hmm.
But again, being gamers principally, they do seem to overdo some of the, they. I mean, I can't speak because you know how long my shows go on. I say, oh, it's only going to be half an hour this week, and 2 hours later, look where we are.
Yeah.
Uh, it is, and that's me talking to myself almost, without actually a conversation, which would double the length. But I don't know. I just find often what they're covering, you see, I've already covered myself in a different way. I've
Hmm.
simply
Hmm.
found that I've found the link to the thing. I've posted the link. I've made my own mind up about that might be something people want. That doesn't sound very good to me, and
Yeah.
I can make those snarky comments. Um, so in a way, it's a long drawn out version of certain things that it's like XR Wheat Peak I start off with every week. There's stuff in there I haven't covered, so it's nice to know somebody's covering it. The same with Charlie Fink's weekly
Right.
roundup
Right.
and stuff. Um, different people have different priorities in terms of their perception of these things, even if they're reporting on largely the same area. Um, and I'm just doing it with the pages. I'm uh, some of the video things I like are ones that include other videos. Not like I just quickly included a short video from a web page, but maybe Upload themselves have done. They'll take 5 minutes and they'll switch the screen to a promotional video for a game or something. Um, and that reminds me of sort of what I tended to do when we were a webcam series all about 10, 12 years ago, back on I think it might even been before there was a YouTube. It was Operator 11 was the company we used before live stream or anything. And I used to hoard short machinima type videos during the week, and then I will broadcast them on the show live from my machine. So we'd be on webcams, and I'd be talking to somebody. Well, I'd be talking about things. Somebody else will pop in, a bit like a Zoom call, so I'd hand the screen to them, and then they give their news, they throw it back to me, and then I'll be about to throw it to somebody else. But I think, well, before we go over to the next person, I've got a lovely video to show you here, which is a perfect example of blah blah blah. And then I would actually load that on my desktop and literally beam it up to um, into Operator 11, which was like, it's like beaming up a video into Skype, other than your webcam, of course. So yeah, it was relatively kind of. I quite like that, and in fact, um, I may be doing some interview type things with Maria Koloff on a Metastellar TV channel, and that'd be real. That'd be non-avatar, but the real two of us, and maybe guests. But again, probably use the screen share idea to sort of show things while we're talking. Um, you know, especially if it's an interview. So it'll be Maria, me, and an author that we're interviewing, and then maybe maybe set stuff up beforehand so we've got various other illustrations or examples to time with the work that we can show, as we're going along. Hard to know,
Yep.
but yeah. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about all that for. That's
Yeah.
all up in the air. That's all up in the air at the moment. Well, it's very imminent, but I'm trying to put it off.
All
I'm
right.
trying to put it off until December when I've got everything else that I'm supposed to be doing out the way. There's only so many of these kind of projects you can do at once, and of
True.
course,
True.
we're as James, you would notice, of course, we're only a month away now, effectively, from OSCC,
Yeah. Yeah. So
and
true.
I have to confirm people for two panels, and well, one of them's pretty much confirmed, I guess, but the other, so I keep forgetting. Oh God, I never got to do that. I got to get in touch with so and so, blah blah blah. So it all sounds fairly easy, but you have to wait for the right time to get hold of people, and then you have to wait for them to decide, and you know. And here you sit here stressing, thinking, oh, what if this, what if they don't want to do it? Who's next on my list? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yep.
Sort of, but you have to keep it in your mind to concentrate rather than just sort of do it alongside other things. So anyway, we got a few things out the way this week, so it's a bit quieter now.
Good.
And I'll be in lockdown again, so I have to be
Yeah,
quiet,
that's
won't I?
right.
Yeah. What can you do?
Nothing to do but.
Right. Nothing to do but, as it were. Indeed. Okay, well, I think it's time to log off. We've given them all the VR we can, and all the AR, and all the MR, and all the XR, and all the XMR. And, well, at the end of the day, what else is there? It's just, I guess,
We
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 are.
are.
We are. Indeed.
Yep.
Metaworld News. Coming to you weekly. We are weekly. Yes, we are. Indeed, we are. Of course, we are. And we will be. We are and we will be. Oh, never mind. Hope you've enjoyed the show, folks. Have a good week. Stay safe, and we will see you same time, same place next week. That is from us two, me and him, and we are. I didn't get round to say. Never mind.
Mm.
Never mind. From both of us. Cheerio, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.